before we get started, I just want to take a quick minute here to apologize for uploading the following video 2 weeks late. The reason for that is because shortly after I filmed that video, I then learned about George Floyd's murder and was deeply disturbed by it. So I focused on other things for a while here. And at the end of this video, I will have some resources in case any of you are interested in learning about racism, because the thing is institutionalized racism is deeply embedded in our culture, and it's something that has been established over many years and by many powerful white men. So in order to be a better ally to our people of color community and to be allies against racism, we have to empower ourselves with that knowledge first so we can understand what it is that we need to do to dismantle the system of racism that is so deeply and thoroughly embedded throughout our culture and our country itself. Black history is American history. Black people are American people. So a friend of mine, Connor Calloway, recently said, oppression against one of us is oppression against all of us. We should all care about this. And I believe it's incumbent on every one of us to learn more about it and do what we can to put an end to racism, because it needs to end. And it has needed to end for a long time now. Before this video gets started, I just want to take a brief moment of silence on behalf of George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, and the millions of others whose lives were taken because of racism and white supremacy. Thank you. Hi everyone, this is Ariane Reed, and this is my 10 months on T. So this month, there's been a few pretty cool changes that have happened this month. The first one I want to go over is just that my voice got just a touch deeper, and it still feels like it's doing a little bit of breaking, like doing a little bit of changing. I can't really use the notes in my higher range very well yet. They're kind of there. I'm not saying high as in like a feminine range. It's still like, it's high for a guy, basically, and that range is still kind of off limits to me. Like, it still feels like it's changing, and some notes work and some don't. So singing in the higher range doesn't really work out for me. I kind of have to do almost a monotone singing because there's just not a whole lot of notes that are available to me right now, because I feel like my voice is still kind of a work in progress. But it's kind of cool that it's still deepening and getting raspy and just being really like manly, which I'm pretty excited about. So that's pretty cool. The other thing that I was pretty excited about is the fact that I'm now getting some hair right under here, underneath my lip, and also a little bit on the sideburns. So now when I shave, I have to make sure I remember to do the sides of my head and not just right here. Now I'm trying to remember to do it here and also through here, because I am starting to get just a little bit of hair. It's very fine hair. Some of it is still pretty light, but some of it is starting to darken up through here. I've got a few dark hairs through here. I've got a couple like just thick, gnarly black hairs right underneath here. Not as thick as I'd like them to be, but you know, they're getting there. And there's just like 3 or 4 of them. There's not very many. So I'm just shaving right now because, yeah. I am starting to get a little bit of acne throughout my face too. So hopefully that's a sign that my body is producing oil and doing something. But every time I say that, I think I jinx it, because as soon as I say that, I don't see any hair changes. So I hope I didn't just jinx that right now. The other thing I want to go over is also belly hair. So I do have more hair here on my belly. So like just all throughout this area, like it's just kind of, there's just like little hairs are just cropping up and coming through here. So just a ton of them. So it's kind of interesting to see all that starting up. I do have a lot of acne changes to report. I have a lot less on my back for some reason. This month, like, my acne basically vanished. It kind of was going away last month too, but I didn't really want to say anything I don't know if I said anything, but if I didn't, it's because I was pretty sure it was just because I was on gel last month, and as soon as I went on gel, that's when it started to fade. And I don't know if that's just a coincidence or not, because since I've been off gel for about, I don't know, 4 or 6 weeks now, that I've been back on injection, and my acne has just faded. And it's not really coming back. Like, normally I would get a shot, and within like a few days, you know, I'd see like a bunch of acne all over myself. But now it's just like I get a shot, and like a few days later, maybe I get like 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 pimples like somewhere on my body. But it's not quite that like explosion carpet of pimples just all over you, you know, pimple monster. It's not that kind of stuff anymore, which is really nice. And I'm not entirely sure if it's just because I've just been on tea long enough that my body is starting to get used to things, my skin has kind of figured itself out, or if it's maybe just diet and life. COVID quarantine is still ongoing. I'm still working from home, which is, for me, it's a lot less stressful. It's a lot, some parts of my tasks are more tedious to do on a tiny little laptop instead of like my big 2 monitors, but it is kind of nice just being to myself and not being like stuck in the same office day to day, and getting to be like outside and working within range of my Wi-Fi, of course. But it is nice to be able to move around and be in different places and get to experience the outdoors and see some more sun. So you'll notice, if you see my slideshow at the end, you'll notice in some pictures I have definitely, especially on my back, I've definitely seen a lot more sun. Which does not affect my acne, because I always try to get a tan during spring, so I don't look so toothpaste white during summer. But that has usually never affected the level of acne I've had going on. That's usually never been a factor. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think it's just more like a low stress life, getting more sleep, and also I've been eating a little bit differently. You know, normally I'm like eating things that I can cook really quickly, and nowadays it's not necessarily things that are unhealthy, but just it wouldn't be like a large variety of things. It'd just kind of like be the same thing each day that I take to work with me, and just, you know, throw some salmon in the toaster oven I have at work or something. But now each day I get to like kind of change it up, and I'm cooking a lot of like fresh vegetables and things like avocado oil, which my body really seems to like. As soon as I switched from butter to avocado oil, and switch from like all other oils to avocado oil, my skin really seems to be flourishing on that. So I think avocado oil has something to do with it. I've also been smearing avocado oil and tree tea oil, mixing them together and smearing that all over my back. So I think that could also have something to do with it. So one of these days I'll get around to making a video about all the different things I think have contributed to my low level of acne throughout my transition and my recent drop in acne. But those are the major changes I've made recently that I think have helped. So just some things for y'all to consider if any of you are struggling with acne too. The other thing I want to go over is also my general mood. So I have been noticing some irritability and a little bit of just feeling annoyed easily by things in life, and recognizing that in myself and then trying to kind of suppress it and push it away, which may or may not be the best thing to do with it, but I don't want to be someone who's, you know, cranky and annoying to be around. So, you know, I'm trying to just recognize it, try to figure out where it's coming from, and to address the issue in a healthier way than just being grumpy and trying to just move through it. It seems to kind of go in cycles. Like, there are, you know, times where I feel grumpier, and then times where I'm just not, even though I deserve to be. And, you know, it feels a little bit hormonally based. The other thing I want to go over is also headaches. I have been, throughout my transition, I've always had headaches, especially during like week 1 of my 2-week shot cycle. So, like, while my T is increasing, and it seems to be due to water, because when you go on T, your body starts retaining a lot more water, so you have to increase your water intake, and sometimes I forget that. So sometimes I don't increase my water intake, and so I start feeling a headache come on. But as soon as I go and like take a few gulps of water, try to stretch my neck and do some things like that, usually within an hour or two, I'll start to feel a lot better. So it's been fairly controllable, but partly my headaches are also partly due to the fact that I have scoliosis, and so unfortunately I do live with a constant headache, but my headache gets worse because of tea, a little bit here and there. So as long as I drink water, though, it seems to be fine. The other thing I want to go over is the fact that I just seem a bit bulkier nowadays. For instance, like this t-shirt did not used to be this tight on me, but now you can see there's like almost, like it's pretty tight, which is pretty cool. Like I didn't, like a lot of my shirts are starting to feel a little bit tighter up in the shoulders and just real tight on the arms and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about that. You know, I'm feeling like I'm starting to gain a bit more of like a masculine shape to myself, which is really, really cool. I'm really excited about that. I recently had to go up a size in my binder. I had to go up from a small to a medium. So that was pretty cool, even though the medium is still kind of hard to get into. I almost felt like maybe I should have gotten a large, but I'm a tiny person, so I can't imagine me needing a large, but the medium is like really tight too. But I think it's just because it's brand new and my other binders are like going on a year and a half old or something like that. So maybe they're just kind of like stretched out and loose, and these medium binders are just still really like tight and brand new. So I think I just kind of like need to break them in basically. But it was really cool to be able to finally go up a size. So I've also been taking a lot of creatine this month to help with muscle building, because I have been working out from home instead of working out at a gym since the gyms are closed due to COVID. So I was feeling really self-conscious about my muscle gains, that I wasn't gaining as much. So I finally decided to add some creatine to my diet, which if you are taking whey protein, you're probably getting creatine. A lot of whey protein powder products put creatine powder in their protein. I use a vegan powder called Orgain, and it doesn't have any of those additives in it. It's just pure protein powder. So I have to, like, if I want things like creatine, I have to add that in myself. So I've never really done that, but finally this month I finally decided to just cough up the money and just do it. And I'm really glad I did it, because I have noticed I am bulking up a bit easier now that I'm on that. So but otherwise, that's all the changes I've had this month. The only people who really gender me as female these days are people who know that I used to be female. Then by those people I get gendered a lot. People who don't really seem to know, people kind of seem confused, who may or may not know that I was female, tend to call me they, and kind of look at me tentatively, like they're not sure what to call me. But when it comes to strangers, I think I get gendered as a guy. I haven't heard a single stranger call me by any sort of feminine pronoun or anything like that, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And I feel like in the mirror, like, I'd like to look more masculine than I do. I feel like my face changes might be slowing down or something. I just don't feel like there's a whole lot of change going on up here. But, I'm getting gendered as male, so that's good enough for me. Anyway, only 2 more months until it's been a year. I'm really excited about that, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
Hi everyone, my name is Aryan. This is my first week on T.
Hi everyone, this is Aryan Reed, and this is my 10 months on T.
This is my talking voice. This is my talking voice. This is my talking voice. This is my talking voice.
This is my talking voice. This is my talking voice. This is my talking voice. This is my talking voice.